are the great cloud of witnesses? Who are the great cloud of witnesses? And the great cloud of witnesses in the text are the people listed in chapter 11. That's the fill-in. Who's the great cloud of witnesses? The great cloud of witnesses are those people listed in chapter 11. Here's what they did. They trusted God by faith. They trusted God by faith. The great cloud of witnesses are those who are listed in chapter 11. Now remember, these individuals who are reading Hebrews, they were with Jesus some 30 years prior. In the Old Testament, they believed that Jesus was coming. They didn't see him. Now, after their death, they are now witnesses to Jesus. And while we people have seen Jesus, we are people who are part of the new covenant. And because we see him, we have the faith to see him again. Hebrews 9:28. There will be a great time of tribulation. But what that tribulation will do, the reason we can make it through great tribulation is because you have the stories of your ancestors who made it through the wilderness, who made it through Babylonian captivity. They can testify to God's faithfulness. And believing Jews during this period will be reminded of those saints who endured persecution, and God was always faithful. So how will they endure the great tribulation? Look what the text says. Throw off everything that hinders you and the sin that entangles you. I want you to consider this. The language that the writer here is using is similar to what Paul would use, especially in Galatians, where he talked about run the race, who cut it on you, all of that. And it would get the picture of the Olympics, the Olympiad, at the Colosseum. And the imagery they were painting here of long-term races. Now, I want you to consider this. When you get later in chapter 12, we talk about discipline. You train for the race with extra weight on. But when you run the race, you want to wear as least amount of clothes as possible. What he's saying here is you don't run a long-distance race with an astronaut suit on. You don't run a long-distance race wearing the clothes you trained in. Okay, so what he's saying here is, so when you run the race of faith, I want you to consider the things that hinder you from running at your best. Throw it off. That you have control, because the inference there is that the reason you can throw it off is because you chose to put it on. Okay, so the saints will endure this tribulation, the race, and the reason you can get through it is because you have others who have witnessed Jesus. Now, here's one of the things I want us to unlearn today. Here's what the great cloud of witnesses isn't. The great cloud of witnesses are not our loved ones watching us from heaven.